Hey, it's May 29th, your weekly fishing report down here at Lake of the Ozarks. Um, Water this week has kind of maintained its elevation. We're at 659.38 today, and it's been within a couple inches all week. Still running a lot of current. During the day, they're running 35,000 or so cubic foot per second, which is quite a bit. Um, this week I've noticed kind of upriver. Well, I'll say upriver, say from I don't know, 28-mile marker on up to upper 40s. A lot of current, not current, but a lot of debris floating, and that water's really dirtied up. I was up there yesterday on a trip, and it made it pretty tough for what we were trying to do. We were trying to throw some top water, and then, just that debris just hampered us there, right off of the bank. It was a lot of debris everywhere in the main channel, up by the bank, and pretty dirty. So, needless to say, we didn't have the best day yesterday up in that area. I have spent some other days up there, and it's been pretty good. I will tell you, back in the creek, some of the bigger creeks gets a lot clearer. So basically, you got all this water current coming down from up in Truman area or down the river, and it keeps that water dirty. But these creeks, as long as that water is not coming up, if it's maintaining elevation or coming down, it'll keep them creeks clean, and they'll be a lot clearer. Actually seen a few beds up in that area finally, in the backs of the creeks where you can see a little bit where that water was clear. I spent the other days this week down lake, say from the glaze to the dam, up in the gravel ice a little bit, and I had a fairly consistent bite this week. Let's see, this week no real big fish, maybe a 4-pounder here or there. Did get out Wednesday with John Neparetti writing an article, and surprisingly enough, the fish cooperated and bit pretty good that day. Caught a couple big ones on spook, a couple on shaky head on bluffs, but those fish, I will say, were like, they were full. They were still pre-spawn fish, kind of moving back to where they're going to spawn. So kind of what I was thinking, there's a big wave of fish coming in probably this week that came in, and there's still some coming in. For whatever reason, it's really late this year. And I'm basically blaming it on the water temperature. The water temperature this week was still the upper 60s to low 70s. And by now, normally we're in the upper 70s. And that's, I think it's really got these fish slowed down, a lot of current, water fluctuation. There's a lot of different theories, but all I can tell you is the fish we caught this week, most of them were pre-spawned. So that kind of tells you, it hasn't all happened yet. Obviously, yeah, some have, some haven't, but the majority of them are still pre-spawned. So, if you get back in the creeks or some clear water, you can probably see some on beds. This week, the lures, the spook did real well down lake in that clear water, back in some pockets, just some calm pockets that were clear, free of debris. Was working that just right up against the seawalls. Just throw as close as you can to the seawalls and just start working that thing out, or over close to the cables. A lot of these bass, they're just notorious for bedding right underneath them cables that lay kind of in the water. So expect a bite right by that cable, right before you get to it or right after it. If it's laying in the water, you can work that spook over the top of it, and a lot of bites will be right there at that cable. Like I said, we went out and caught some good ones on a spook. I had a couple of them 3 3/4, 4-pound Kentuckys on that spook this week. Was a lot of fun. Real healthy, clean fish, and they were definitely pre-spawned fish. Obviously, the shaky head, still a big deal. Probably the most consistent bite is the shaky head. It's just a 1/4 ounce Crappie Shaky Pro with that little mag finesse worm on it. Green pumpkin or This one here is watermelon red flake. That little clear wire, I was throwing that little red flake in there. I really don't think it matters on the color. Today we went out. Good friend of mine, Dana Zanner, had been catching quite a few fish in some pockets, and we met up this morning, went out and caught several fish. You know, throwing that shaky head was the bite. Nothing on top water this morning, so the top water, like always, is kind of hit and miss. Cloudy, overcast day, low light. You know that spook's been producing some fish, but when that's not working, that shaky head's kind of a go-to and catch fish. You know, we caught several fish today, a few keepers, nothing great big, but some good solid keepers. So, you know, those two baits have been the most productive. Obviously, a jig. This week caught a few on a jig. It's just a half-ounce Zapper Jig and Ozark crawl with that baby pecca chunk on the back of it. You know, moves a lot of water. And kind of been throwing that on kind of on bluff shelves, in the bluff ends, a little bit steeper banks, some pre-spawn fish, and you'll actually catch a few post-spawners once they start heading back out and they start coming out to some little steeper banks. A big jig, a big 3/4 ounce Crappie reaction jig with this baby packer crawl on the back. Big flappers again, big bait, fast moving bait, you know, 3/4 ounce. And I like to throw that just on these bluff ends, maybe on some longer points or where you have a drop, going into the main river channel, the old river channel. And you might throw up in 12 to 16 foot of water and work that bait until it's going to fall off down into that deep water. And generally what you'll feel is just kind of drag that thing along and you'll feel it get into some rough stuff, some bigger rock. You know, you kind of almost getting hung up and you kind of pop it out of there. That's where you're going to get your bite. So you just kind of throw it up on these flatter shelves and just kind of drag it along until you start feeling that rougher stuff. And that's going to tell you you're getting close to the drop off. And as soon as you hit that rough stuff, give it a couple good pops, you know, kind of jump it off the bottom. A lot of times that's when the fish will come up and react on it and hit it. You know, that's a fun way to fish too. You know, stroking that jig up off the bottom when you hit that rough stuff. Another bait, a 10-inch power bait, just throwing it on a 5/8 ounce Shaky Pro head. It's got that big 6/0 EWG hook on it. You can see how it just lays on there perfectly. You know, that big 5/8 weight goes to the bottom, and you got this worm up here just acting freely. That's good for, you know, out on these points. On the main lake points, secondary points, long points. You kind of got to vary it throughout the days, different days, with a lot of current. Generally, these long points, kind of I call them ridges that run out. Those get real good as that current hits it and comes up over the top of it. The fish will stay right there on those ridges and go into a pretty good feed. Haven't got into a whole lot of that yet. It's still a little early, a couple here and there, but you know, within the next couple of weeks, that bite's going to be really good, along with that big jig bite. You know, out deeper, and even, you know, until that water temp really shoots up into the upper 70s, I expect a lot of these fish, the majority of them, to stay, I'd say 15 foot and less. You know, on points, on ridges, on bluffs, whatever. You know, there's just not a whole lot of reason for them to move out yet. You'll notice a lot of shad working back in the creeks right now, kind of midway back in the creeks and some of the coves. Until them shad really move out, you know, them fish are going to pretty much stay in that same area. But once that water temp gets up, you'll notice the shad will start moving out and they'll start working way out deeper, out over the main river channel, you know, out over the deeper water where they can go up and down and stay a little more comfortable with the water temp. You know, but like I said, the water temp's only low 70s at best. So once we get in the upper 70s, that's when all that's going to happen. Then fish are going to move out. They'll start hitting the crankbait a lot better way out them points, and these bigger baits out deeper. You know, other than that, man, this week, last week I was really busy. Had several trips. Kept my batteries on charge. If you guys are looking for batteries, last year in the Costa. Actually, second day of the Costa, I had some battery issues, and it was actually the second time with these batteries that were less than a year old. And I called this wholesale battery and asked them about some batteries they had and what they kind of recommended. And them guys referred me to some these Deca AGM batteries. And what it is, it's a fiberglass matted battery. And it's real durable battery for say like the Ozarks, which we all know can get extremely rough. For say myself, my batteries are on charge every day. I run it and then it's back on a charge, you know, and I've been running them for a while now, and nothing but just excellent, you know, things to say about them. You know, I'm running, let's see, two 12-inch Garmin's along with the live scope. And, you know, throughout the day, like first thing in the morning, fully charged, I'll be shooting 12.3. I'll run all day on that thing, and I'm still showing 11.4, 11.5. So that's telling me these batteries are really holding up well. And I'm really pleased with them. So, you know, if you're looking for batteries, looking to replace batteries or something, give them guys a call. Tell them what you got. Tell them what you're running. They're going to give you some really good advice and set you up and lead you in the right direction. So, you know, I always want to make sure guys have an idea, you know, when they have issues with something like batteries, which are extremely important on these boats. Everything revolves around batteries on these boats, whether it be, you know, the live wells, how critical they are, the electronics. If you don't have the right batteries, I don't care what electronics you have, they're not going to work properly. So, you know, the battery is probably, without a doubt, probably the key, most important thing in a bass boat, actually, when you really think about it. The electronics are no good. Your starting battery's no good. I mean, your motor's no good. Your live wells, nothing works without good, proper batteries. So, just want to let you guys know I'm extremely pleased with these guys. And if you're in the market at all for batteries, give Wholesale Batteries a call. There's one in St. Louis, one in Kansas City. Talk to them guys. Tell them what you got. If you have any issues, and they're going to help you out. So, you know, I seen this weekend it's going to be busy again. A lot of traffic moving in town already. It's Friday afternoon. It's going to be busy again, but you know, last week, I think we set a lot of records for the amount of people down here at the lake, which is just thrills me to see everyone down here having a good time, getting out, the restaurants, the bars, the lakes, just everything full of people. You know, like I said, we set records last year, amount of people. We had 0 deaths last weekend on the lake, you know. So people were safe. They were having fun. You know, we had very few calls last week that was related to more people down here or trauma wrecks or issues like that. It was basically medical. So, you know, that's good to hear that we have that many people come down here and people can be safe and use level heads and be safe out there. So this weekend's going to be no different, and I expect from here on out to be pretty busy every weekend. So I've been getting out early. The bite's really good, say from daylight to about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then it's been falling off for me pretty sharp. You know, about 11, it pretty much falls off. I haven't done a lot of evening fishing, but the guys I'm talking to said that bite picks up real well again in the evening. So, you know, dusk and a little bit past dark. So, you know, get out there when that water's calm, enjoy it, enjoy being outside. And, you know, the only other thing I forgot last week, I'm not going to forget this week, is crappie. When the bass slows down, I've been picking up my crappie rods and going and shooting docks again. You know, some docks that are about halfway back in, even some main lake docks had a lot of crappie on it. With the water a little dirtier, I've been throwing this, it's called bluegrass. It's kind of got chartreuse and blue on it. And then I've also went back to this little 3-inch Easy Shiner Kitech makes. That little thing, I put that on a little heavier head right now, even almost an 1/8 ounce, and throw it out and you know, let that thing sink down. You just swim it by over the tops of brush piles or over these big docks where you can see the crappie underneath there. And a lot of times you can catch a lot of them on that. Just a real easy way to crappie fish, you know. But that's the crappie fishing's still been good. I've noticed a lot of them, they're pretty much done spawning out. Everything I've caught this week are, they don't have any eggs in them, but there's still a lot of crappie to be caught, and you can still catch them before they get into their, summertime pattern. And then things get a little tougher, but we'll discuss that in weeks to come. So, other than that, guys, appreciate you tuning in, and until next week, we'll see you.